Many thanks again for rejoining us on the program TMI on the ITV network. One of the major ills in our society today is the get-rich-quick syndrome, where young people want to go on the fast lane. As a matter of fact, they are on the fast lane to make it now, spend it now, enjoy it now, live it now. And there are attendant consequences. We have seen a rise in richer many activities, with body parts missing, young ladies disappearing, children disappearing, and the trend continues. And this is something that is not healthy for our society, because it has impact on the economy, has impact on development, has impact on the capacity of organizations to survive. Today, because of this syndrome, many organizations are suffering. If you have the opportunity to interact with CEOs, entrepreneurs, business owners, they will tell you what they are suffering. Our young people are on a fast lane. How do we change this? Perhaps having interface with influencers, those who've been able to make an impact from a little beginning, can help us to steer the ship in the direction of changing these narratives. Our guest today on the program is a professional photographer. He's also an influencer, a businessman. He's an engineer by training, and he's been there in the business of impacting the community for such a long time. I'd like to thank very especially Engineer Iyamu Kelvin Efe, the CEO of EPP Media Ventures. Thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Thank you. Good morning, viewers.
Okay, let's get started and look at this as a huge societal problem. Whatever becomes a problem, there's always a root cause. Yeah. But give us your take on what you think is responsible for this get-rich-quick syndrome that has enveloped the society as it is today.
All right. My take and view on this, based on my own practical experience, is maybe first of all, economic hardship, then poverty, and also pressures from influencers like celebrities, and also our society, it tends to kind of give a lot of attention to people that just made money and nobody cares how that money was made. So for that, because of that, even those that wish or have the mind to actually build their career gradually, when they see all this pressure coming, you discover that at the end of the day, they will deviate from the original intention of what they wanted to do. Yeah. So, for instance, you know, I've been into photography business for quite some time, and I've been able to just media business, not just photography. I've been able to, you know, work with a lot of people. I've been able to employ a lot of people, and that I noticed that every day, the people, professionals that you need for a business to function are reducing, in the sense that, you know, you employ somebody today, and tomorrow the person is no more. Look for a faster way to make this money. Even at times, we look at it, we now started to say, okay, based on the fact that a lot of people are not well trained, let's employ and train. But most of the time, when you employ these people, you know, give them all the necessary training, even by investing so much in them, you still discover that at the end of the day, some of them we just also back at. The major cause is a lot of them, they are looking for a way to survive. And some of them also have some level of, you know, they just look at people. Let's say, for instance, we have been working for maybe for the past, APP Media Limited. I've been on that business for the past 22 years.
22 years.
Yes. I actually started shortly before I gained admission into University of Benin. When I look at it, I was thinking, what do I do to survive, to pay my fees, to, you know, survive in school?
Okay.
Then I did auto maintenance, automobile. And I look at it, I realized that trying to work with automobile every weekend when I don't have class is going to be difficult. I was thinking of what do I do to actually, what I can do weekend
to survive,
money
okay,
in order to survive. That was when I was able to just remember that when I was doing my final program in that auto maintenance, they said I came out the best. I was the best student, so I should come with a camera and whatsoever. So a friend of mine, because there's no money to hire a photographer. A friend of mine was having a toy camera. So that toy camera bought film and we just snap with it. So that was when I remember that when there was some film remaining, it was 36, we just used some. So after some time, I used those films to just take people for free.
Okay.
So we say snap me, so we say they will not give you like just little money to print it. So, and I realized that even with that little money that they gave, there was some little profit from it.
Okay.
So when that time comes, I said, yes, photography. That was when I now looked for a place to say, okay, let me learn it professionally.
Yeah.
And ever since then, that was what I used to sponsor myself in school. Before I graduated, I discovered that.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
An amazing story.
Yeah, very interesting story. 22 years consistently. Yeah, and that's very difficult to find these days. Our young people are on the fast lane. Can you really be on the fast lane if you want to be genuine in terms of, you know, being successful? Is there no way one can be on a fast lane and yet you want to achieve sustainable success, as it were? And I'm deeply concerned by the fact that you had this humble beginning. What were those factors that drove you in terms of, okay, I need to stay put, I need to be consistent? From being a student and then you learned auto mechanics and then becoming a photographer, how have you been able to stay relevant? Because I've also seen people who started out from a humble beginning, but somewhere along the line, events overwhelmed them, new technology overwhelmed them, and then push them aside. Yes, let me get your take on that.
All right. First of all, I cannot say it's by my power. What actually happened is why I was doing the photography, I discovered that whatever you find yourself doing, you need to do it very well. So books helped me. I read books that keep telling me that I need to keep building and improving in myself, which I was doing. Although there was several strategy and continuous innovation.
Yeah.
Even at the time when I graduated from school, you know, I read engineering, civil engineering, University of Benin. We were having the mind that we're going to work in oil company and all those things. At first, when I went for NYC, I was sent to Kebbi State. When I got there, it looked like everything was trapped down because nothing was really happening there.
Yeah.
So at the time, but for the short time I was there, I had the opportunity to photograph the governor's family. But yet, I was a young man that actually wanted to strive. I was looking for where I can be busy and where I can be useful. So there was something that happened even then. I directed a movie while I was in camp. So it was not difficult for me to redeploy from Kebbi State. Because they said Kebbi was a virgin land and they need people like me.
Okay.
But at the time when I discovered that I've stayed like 4 months and nothing is happening. So I have to look for a way. I redeployed to Delta. And luckily I served with Reno here, which later retained me. But after some time, I realized that photography
is
was
your
having
passion.
a lot of passion in it. So resigned after some time, went back to the photography, and it's just consistency. I was focused on not just the money, but trying to give my customers, my clients, the best.
Okay.
Then it was not so easy then, because people were seeing us as a very local people. People were not ready to pay. It was as low as 20 naira then to take a picture. I remember then we would trek from one place to another just to do all those things. But at the time,
Yes, go on.
at the time I realized that, okay, what do I do? I find out that when they want to do something where a kind of the elites want to do a program in Benin, they end up hiring people from outside Benin. So I was worried. Why? Later, because of the fact that I'm not the kind of person that believe in just problem, I always like finding solution. So, and I realized that the quality of our job was low. So I started looking for way. I first of all went for one training in Lagos. I made that thing open my eyes. Later, I went to South Africa. I started, developing myself. When I came back, it was still difficult for people in Benin to accept me, because for you to do a good job, they need to pay you. But later, I started doing free jobs. I would rent camera from Lagos. I would do a quality job. Then, what was happening, people outside Benin started calling for our services. Immediately, people in Benin just discovered that, this guy is working in Abuja, this guy is working in Lagos, before you know what was happening.
Interesting. I'm just enamored by your story. Yeah,
I want to shift your attention to the aspect where you made mention of the fact that the bedrock or the foundation of any successful business is looking for a problem that needs solution. So if you can find or identify a problem that needs solution, you already have a business. Now, if you look at today's society, the youths of today, I don't think they have that mindset, and I think it's something we need to push. But away from that, looking at some of them, what they say is the problem that they are trying to solve is the fact that their families are poor, or they are poor, or they want to be rich really fast. So do you think that in any way this mindset is affecting the rate of job creation and of course Nigeria's economy as well?
Sure. It's affecting everything 100%, because a society where the youth are not engaged in productivity, there's going to be a lot of problems.
Yeah.
Because what you need to do, first of all, like at this point in time, let me define success, like the way I understand it. Success is imparting the world with the investment of your personality. In other words, you must invest on being something, not on having. Because with what you have, you will. With what you have, you will have. You understand what I'm saying? But a lot of young people just want it to happen overnight. And it's not possible. There are some level of, hard work. There's some level of dedication you need to put in order for you to be what you want to really be. It's affecting, generally. It's affecting every sector. It's affecting the state, the country, even the parents that we're talking about. You understand what I'm saying? So at this point in time, I feel what our young ones need to do, these days is easier. It was very difficult those days. I remember we're using analog cameras. You need to go to lab to go and develop. You are not seeing what you are snapping until when it is developed. But these days, digital cameras, these days, maybe something that it took me like 10 years to know, I can easily I've also been trying to encourage a lot of people. Like every year, I train, I pick 5 people from Mass Communication Department, University of Benin. I train them for free every year. I've been doing that for the past 6, 7 years.
Like a give back, some sort.
Yes. And I realized that a lot of young ones, you see them after first degree, master degree, that's when they want to learn trade. And it's good for we parents to start encouraging our children, not just to rely on only the education, you understand, also try as much as possible to ensure that there's something that they are known for, that God can bless them through. Because a lot of us are praying for God to bless us, but we don't really have what we are doing, because God said He will bless the work of your hand.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So right now I have two things in my head, judging from everything you said so far. And the first one I'd love you to dwell on is the issue of underemployment, because we're talking about youth and get rich quick syndrome. Now there are a lot of persons that would want to work, they want to put in their best. In fact, they have all the degrees in the world. But then you eventually get a job in Nigeria and they are giving you an amount that is not even up to what you're worth. Right? Don't you think it's going to discourage a lot of young people from, doing the legitimate work? That's number one. And then number two, you also made mention of the fact that a lot of young persons, you observe that they don't do the normal learning. Is when they're done with school, they go to the learning part of it. I remember somebody once said, what's the point of going to learn a trade after schooling when I can just learn a trade and not go to school? Like, what really is going on here?
Okay, basically, in the aspect of the people that are professionals and they want to work, and probably at the end of the day, they will not be getting up to the investment they've done for themselves. It's true. When you watch closely, the economic circumstance of Nigeria is not stable.
Yeah.
And most of these business owners, or most of these organizations, are also struggling. And because of that, we then employ, they cannot actually pay more than what they are getting. That's why you see some people who apply for some job, they'll tell you you overqualify. You understand? Because of the fact that they feel they can't pay you.
Yeah.
But also, what I will say, or what I want to encourage anyone that has invested in his or herself to just keep on. Because I realized there was a time when things were so difficult. Frustration. You thought it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But consistency. When you are consistent and keep doing that thing that you know how to do. And also, I have a business. There are people that is not just their salary they rely on. They are exceptional. So, company, we always want to ensure that anyone that is good, they want to ensure that that person gets the required, attention.
Yeah.
You understand? I remember a friend of mine told me, he has a very big company now. There was someone that was with him. The person was being paid 9,000 naira, and the person is earning close to 8 million naira as of today. You understand?
From 9,000
naira. So the person was there when the company was growing. But the same thing that we're talking about, that a lot of us, we don't want to stay.
Yeah.
Lack of patience.
In Nigeria, because of the fact that government is not so helping matters. At times, if you want to really do business very well, you need a law. And it's very difficult to access law here. So, in other words, you will be managed, you'll be strongly. That's why you see a lot of business are closing up day in, day out. You understand what I'm saying? Right. So what government need to encourage the citizen. Our government need to look for way, not those ones that would say they want to give 10 billion naira to business owner or investors. At the end of the day, you will not see the people.
You only hear the money, but you never see.
Exactly.
You understand? I've been doing business for quite some time. Fine, once in a while, you have to, there was something that happened some years ago. I was robbed. And I started renting camera. I rented camera. I discovered that after renting camera for 6 months, the money I've used in renting camera can actually buy 2 of that camera. Not to talk about the stress and everything. So that at that point in time, I sold. I was having a car. I sold the car. It was not still enough. I have to borrow with interest from all these microfinance
to buy a camera.
You understand? And we should not be looking at, our young ones should not be looking at the difficult aspect. No matter how difficult it seems to be today, if you actually put in effort, after some time you see yourself shining.
Fantastic.
And flying.
Fantastic. There's a second plank to that question. I'm trying to remember that.
Going to school and then having to learning work and not going to school. So what's the essence of not going to school when I still have to come out to learn a trade?
Okay, to me, education is very, very important. It's the key. I started construction just like a year and 4 months now. I discovered that my education is playing a vital key role. That the level of growth, whenever I enter site, when I see the kind of decision I take, I see people that has been there 15, 20 years that did not went to school. The difference is too much. So let's not deceive ourselves. Education is very, very...
So education is not a scam?
Yes. It's not a scam at all.
Okay. I mean, Engineer Kelvin, it's such a way to, call it a wrap on this interview. And I want to thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us. I mean, the experiences you've had, how your journey has been, so that our young people can also hear this part of the story, especially those who love to be on the fast lane, and then those who also think that whatever they are getting is not commensurate with their worth. Everything has its time. Like you said, we just need to be consistent, giving our best, and continue to push yourself. Ultimately, that recognition will come. The most important thing is that if you don't have that consistency and you focus on the recognition, it may never come. That's just a statement of fact. But I want to thank you for coming on the show. Thank you so much.